Good morning, everyone. Steve Murray here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services, welcoming you to our webinar this morning with Coach Dave Pimper. We're going to talk about 401k and IRA rollover game plan, and also we've got a seminar that we're going to talk about as well. So it should be a great meeting. We always have great attendance for these meetings. As you'll probably notice as you're tuning in, we are unable to hear you, so there's opportunity for you to ask questions, and to do that, you'll need to type them in and hit send, and we'll go ahead and get them asked and answered for the group as quickly as we can. We do kind of wait for some natural breaks along the way as well, so go ahead and type your question in. You might not get the answer immediately, but we'll try and address it before the end of the webinar for sure. Okay, so with us today, again, my name is Steve Murray. I'm the Executive Vice President here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services. My position, some of the things that I do besides, clean the sinks in the toilets around here, is I also want to make sure that we've got the right information out to you. We've got the right incentives to help you do business. We've got the right products that fit for what you need to handle. And then I think most importantly is to help with the sales ideas and training and ways to get you in front of new people and to do the best job that you can once you do get in front of them, so that you can get your bottom line where it needs to be. So actually that's the function of today's webinar more than anything else. It's kind of sales idea based, training based, and give you an idea of some ways to get in front of some people. So I really look forward to this. Along the way, there'll be a couple of poll questions that would come up. All I'm going to ask is that you answer those as quickly as possible. You're not making any commitments. You're just letting us know where you may or may not have interest. So we appreciate your yes or no answers to those poll questions as quickly as possible. We're going to go ahead and get started today. One of the questions that always comes up is, can you send me a copy of this webinar? And so we do record our webinars, and if you are in attendance or if you've just registered and are unable to stay for the whole time, you will have the opportunity to gain a copy of this recording and listen to it again at your leisure. So hopefully that answers that question for you. Thank you again for being here. I know Tuesdays, 10 a.m., some places it's 11, some places it's 9. These are busy times for us all. We're getting in really to the heat of the selling season right now, so we appreciate you taking some time out to kind of add to your knowledge base and to get some great ideas. So thank you for joining us here today. Also with us today, as I mentioned right at the outset, is Dave Pimper. Dave is the coach. He helps our folks in a lot of different ways, and one of the main ways that he's worked with our people over the years, for the past 10, 12 years now, he has been on the seminar side. So whether it's Social Security claiming seminars, 8 retiree mistakes seminars, or the 401k IRA rolls. You keep wanting to say RIA and all kinds of crazy stuff. There's too many initials in our business. But obviously this is, there's a lot of money housed in qualified accounts. So understanding that you can still work with them no matter what the DOL has some people concerned that they cannot do that. That's absolutely untrue. You can work with qualified funds, and to have ways and means of getting in front of folks with qualified funds opens up an asset market that's probably, over half of the total retirement assets out there are in qualified funds accounts. So it's great to have a way to get in front of those folks, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to start off with kind of what I consider a little bit of more information on IAMS, what we do and how we do it, that I wanted to make sure that you are all aware of. So I want to make sure this is one of our most successful programs, and so a lot of times when I'm talking to folks that show up at our meetings and qualify for our top producer escapes and things like that, not everyone is aware of this. So I want to make sure that we cover it, because it's been, for IAMS, one of the major initiatives that has helped our growth over the past 32 years is the referral, people referring people to us, and we certainly appreciate that. We get more and better producers via referral than anything else that we do. And so what we did about 6 or 7 years ago is we put a program in place that not only is it a thank you, but it's also a way that you are rewarded financially. So this program is pretty simple. When you refer someone to us, so they get contract, we're going to send you a check for $50. No big deal. And go out to a nice lunch or an okay dinner with that these days. But really where the big checks start accumulating for our guys is as they do business, and for as long as your referral does business with us, we pay you a referral fee. That's a 20 basis point override. Nope, that's incorrect. It's not an override at all. We don't take anything out of their pocket. We simply take it out of our profits, and we pay it out to you as a bonus, and that's an appreciation and a thank you for you kind words on behalf of Insurance Agency Marketing. We appreciate that very much, and we send out literally thousands of dollars each quarter for referrals. Also want to make sure the second line there, we see marketing reimbursement, or second bold line, we see marketing reimbursement. Many of you are aware of this program. When you do business with us, you get money put in your marketing reimbursement account. As you do business, you can tap into that account and pay for anything that has to do with growing your business, whether it's your website, mailing, seminars, whatever you do to grow your business, software, whatever it takes to help you grow your business. That's marketing reimbursable, and we're going to match your spend dollar for dollar. Couple programs, and here we've got a lot of folks that have done business with us, but I see a couple of you aboard that have not yet done business with IAM. So I want to make sure you're aware of this. There's three levels that you can claim your new producer bonus at, and you can see some of the options, and we're pretty open to options you can choose. So if you have an idea of something that you would like different at one of these levels, we're certainly open to considering that. Anything, as you can kind of see, they're generally designed to help you grow your business. So that's going to be our first area of interest. Some of it's kind of travel incentive. You can see down at the 500,000 level, you can pick your own Ritz-Carlton vacation, but we've kind of tried to design them in ways that would help you further add to your bottom line, because we know that in the end, that's what you really want more than anything else. So I will draw your attention to the 500,000 level, where we'll pay for seminar coaching. That's going to be important, and we'll pay for your first mailing at the end of today's webinar. You may say, that's something that I really want to take advantage of. So new producers, folks that are just getting started with us, pay special attention to that right now. And let's keep moving on here. We got great back office support. You all know that have been doing business with us. Again, for the folks that maybe are not familiar, we call it a submission to commission process. I would say, and I think I'm maybe a little subjective, but I've got some objectivity here as well, that if you stood up the top, we're probably among the top 20 IMOs in our business. If you stood all 20 of us up, there's not one of our competitors that wouldn't say that our service, our ability to assist agents from the beginning of let's do business to the end of, hey, here's my commission check. The service that IAMS gives is recognized throughout the industry as some of the best. If you haven't taken advantage of that yet, if you haven't seen it and you want to feel the difference between what someone else is doing for you and what we can do for you, throw an app in the door and let us show you what we can do. You will be impressed. I say that from experience and from feedback that I've gotten from folks, for the past 25, 30 years. We are good at that part of the business. So I want to make sure that you all are aware that we've got a marketing team and some of the things that they can do. So you can read that slide as well as I can read it. I don't want to go through it point by point by point. Rather, I'd want to make the large point is that in order to be successful and really successful and to do it efficiently and money effectively, you need to have kind of a foundational base of marketing things that you do. The simple things from logo to website and all that stuff. And you need to have that in place. Don't go out on the free market and try and get that stuff done. Get it done by somebody that knows your business and has a lot of the stuff in place already, knows what works, and is going to do it for you as cheaply or free as we can, because we know that's a business builder. And when your business goes up, that's good for us, good for you. So don't go out and pay someone else to do things that we might be able to do for you for free. And even if there's a little expense involved, we're going to do a much better job with much less tax of your time and efforts. So take advantage of our internal marketing solution teams. That's, they do it all day long. They help guys put brochures together and get their logo right and get their website right. We can pretty much put your website up in a day and have it look better than most of the website you'll see. I've heard guys spending literally thousands of dollars putting up a website and spending hundreds of hours of time to do it, and don't have anywhere near the quality of the website that we can get put up for you on just kind of a stock basis, because we've been doing it for years now. So let us help you with that kind of stuff. We got some great stuff online as well. They can personalize brochures and things for you that, other of your fellow producers have said, hey, I need something like this. We put it in place and we can personalize it for you and get it out there. So, don't reinvent a wheel that's already rolling right down the road pretty quickly. We just updated our website. So even you folks that have been and looked around and seen our website before, I'd encourage you to go back out there and look at it again. One thing that I'd look specifically at, and if you look at the picture to the side, you can kind of see we've got the home, the IAMS products, training, support. Go to the IAMS website and look at the support tab. There there's a IAMS resource library, forms library built out there now. It's not product forms, it's like fact finders, things that you can send to your client presentations, things you can easily personalize and email out. There's a referral lead generator out there, so look around on there a little bit. That's probably the biggest single addition to that website that most folks don't know about, and there's good reason for that. It's probably been out there about 2 or 3 weeks, so we need to get the word out that that's out there. It can save you a lot of time and give you some great ideas and ways that you can help you, engage, re-engage, first-time engage, close client relationships and appointments. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that. Retirement Analyzer, quick and easy. It is a software program that is built to help you move your client from, hey, where am I at on my retirement roadmap, to what's the destination and how do I get there? And it does it in a fashion that is comprehensive and very believable, and also laid out in a fashion that is easily understandable. If you haven't used a product like this is one of the more comprehensive ones you're going to find. But if you haven't used a product like this, when you're sitting with your clients and trying to help them understand what you're trying to help them accomplish as far as gaining, finding the end of their retirement journey and what it is that they need to be comfortable with, by the time you're done with using this software with them, they're going to feel comfortable with where they're at and what they need to do different, and they're going to be extremely appreciative. Now, I'm going to say that it's going to take a little bit of time. This is not anytime you do something like this for a client, it's not going to be like a 10-minute deal. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort on your part, but I think you'll be pleased with the results. And right now we are offering that through IAMS at no charge. So we take care of the expense of that. Now, we can't do that for everybody, and frankly, the usage that we're seeing right now, I don't know that we'll be able to do it much longer. But the folks that are using it with IAMS and doing business regularly, we're going to make sure that we continue to make that available to you at our cost or very little. So if you haven't taken advantage of that, give Marcus in our office a call. Marcus Soller, he's kind of the gatekeeper for that, and he'll be glad to get you out of a login so that you can see it and use it and try it out. IAMS Wealth Management, if you're an RIA or an IAR and you're looking for an RIA, not happy with what you currently have, maybe not happy with the pricing, not happy with what you have to charge for fees, not happy with what you have to pay for your monthly fees, not happy with the payouts that you're able to work with, then give IAMS Wealth a call. Give Charles here in our office a call and let him give you a little background. We built this RIA for a couple of reasons, and our timing was pretty good with the DOL and what's happening there. It's going to keep you from having to pass up business. For those of you that are already IARs, you know this. For those of you that are considering IARs, you probably know it, at least theoretically. But if the DOL takes place in a fashion that's pretty close to where it was originally proposed, there's going to be a lot of money that you're working with now that you're not going to be able to work with. The suitability that has eliminated your ability to do business with clients at some level is just going to be magnified by the best interest level of fiduciary responsibility that is in the DOL regulation. So you're going to want to continue to work with that money, but you're going to need other licensing to do that. And so look at potentially becoming a Series 65. And if you need help with that, the IAMS Wealth team can do that. If, on the other hand, you already have your IAR and you're looking for a new spot, I wish that you would give us a call. I think you'll be very pleased with that call. I think you'll think that's one of the better things that you've done this year. You'll be happy with what we do. We've designed our platforms to be kind of asset gathering and let you do or asset managing, let you do the asset gathering, and I think you'll like how we've got it laid out, and I think you'll be pleased with the way that the platforms are designed, and you'll be really happy with the fact that that's something you can show your client in a very systematic way, put in place in a very systematic way, and know that kind of what you laid out for them is what's going to happen. And a lot of people get concerned right now by what's happening in the market. Is this the time to do that? A lot of folks are out there fully exposed in the market. Some of these platforms can get you really unexposed to the market, so that in a big downturn, your client's assets are protected against some loss. So look at these things now as probably as good a time as any. I put a poll up. If you have interest, if you want to hear from the folks over at IMS Wealth, you want to find out more information, if you put yes, you're going to get a little email with a couple attachments for you to look at. And then if you want to go further and have some conversation with them, you can get that arranged as well. So if you have some interest, hit yes. If you don't, hit no. Again, I'd like to get moved on here fairly quickly because I want to get to the heart of the deal. So I'm going to just give another minute or two for those of you that have not voted to vote, and we'll get moving on here. Again, as with all the polls, you're not making any commitments here. You're just saying, you know what, that might be something that I should look into, or maybe have a little bit of interest in, and let me explore it a little bit. You get an email from the IMS Wealth team, and if you want to find out more information, you just get back with them and say, hey, give me a little bit more background here. Hey, I'd like more information. I'm thinking of getting my 65. How can you help me? Could you help me with the cost of it? Things like that. We'll be glad to have those conversations with you. So in the interest of time, I'm going to close that poll out. There's about 6 of you that haven't voted, and that's okay. No reason to vote if you don't want to. I'm going to close out, and let's get moved on here. Annuity academies, if you haven't been to the academies, this is something that you want to do. I'm just going to throw up one quick poll, and while it's up, I'm going to chat with you. So key points from your standpoint is we'll have 4 top producers there that give you sales ideas and strategies. That really is the centerpiece of our academies. We're going to talk about what's happening in general in the annuity marketplace. We're going to talk specifically about index annuities, what's happening there, you need to know where the industry is going, and you need to have the best idea on how you can tailor your business to fit what's going to happen in our industry over the next 12 to 18 months. If you're not doing that, if you haven't been doing that regularly and kind of affixing your marketing to where the marketplace is going, then these types of events are great for you. Do we talk about some products specifically? Sure. But if you come to learn about how a product works, what the minimums are, and the basics of products, this is probably not the event for you. But if you want to hear about sales ideas, marketing ideas, strategies to help you grow your business, hear from some top producers on some great sales ideas, and then learn kind of the general trend in the industry, and maybe a little bit of specific information on a few products here and there, this is a great academy to go to. And we do take care of your expenses. So we're going to take care of your travel. We're going to take care of your hotel. We're going to take care of your meals and refreshments while you're there. So you're going to be out of your office for 3 days. We'll bring you in on a Wednesday. We'll have you heading back out on a Friday. So you're going to be out of your office effectively Wednesday through Friday. No one has ever said to me, boy, I didn't get what I thought I was going to get. I didn't get 3 days worth of value out of, in fact, what I mostly hear is that's too much information for 3 days for me to fully take it all in. I can understand that. We're not asking for you to take everything in. We're asking for you to take a couple of good sales and marketing ideas away and look to IAMS to support you in your business. That's what that academy is all about. If you have interest in joining us, just hit yes on that poll. And I'm just going to leave this open for just a couple of minutes here today. And while that's open, I've got a couple questions here. Got a few questions. Let me catch up on those while you all are looking at those polls. There's some of these that we're going to have to come back to. If you'll all be patient with me here, there's a bunch of questions that build up. So a couple of them are, one is about the academy. So this next one coming up is in Des Moines, Iowa, and it is early November. It's the first Wednesday through Friday in November. I'll get a calendar and give you the exact dates here shortly. And it's in Des Moines. So again, if you're driving, we'll take care of your driving expense. We reimburse your expense at the IRS. I think it's like 53 cents a mile. So we'd love to have you join us on that. So marketing reimbursement, a question about that. How can we use that? Can I use it for office supplies? And so that's not my preferred method, but if you're buying a computer to build your business, or if you're you get new business cards, I'm glad to do that, things like that. But we're pretty generous with what we'll reimburse, because it's your money. You're going to get it anyway. But I really do like it to go towards things that are real marketing every the marketing expenses that you use to build your business, whether it's seminars, mailings, things like that. But we're going to be pretty open to any case that you can make there. I'm going to close this poll out, and thank you all for voting. Just a couple of you did not on that one, and so I'm going to close it out, and let's get moved on here. And I'm going to skip over Dave because we're running a little late, so I'm going to go over that. Okay. And we're going to go right to 401k and IRA rollover game plan. So just by way of a quick introduction, Dave is a coach that's been a coach for about 12 years now. Has been a coach with us almost since he joined us. He qualified for our Alaskan cruise, Top Producers Escape, some years back, and we got to chat, and he mentioned his coaching. I asked him if he could do some of that for our group. He agreed to do that, and since then he's been doing, I think, most of his coaching, or maybe all of his coaching now with our guys, which is great because we've seen a lot of benefit from it year over year. Our guys would attest to the benefits, whether it's coaching on a specific seminar, coaching on business development. There's a lot of different ways that guys have benefited from working with Dave, and Dave would be the first one to tell you the secret sauce is that he's a regular producer himself. He's done nearly 500 seminars, so that's pretty good experience in the seminar business. He runs a practice similar to what you're running, and so can give you some ideas about what works and what doesn't work. He's sat in hundreds, probably thousands of client interviews, so he knows the ins and outs of those. There's a lot of ways that he's been able to help our guys, and the secret sauce to it is he's doing what you're doing it much the way that you're doing it, faces the challenges that you face, and overcomes them the same way that many of you have. And so it's not just the experience that he has, but the experience that he's taken from folks that he's worked with over the last 10 or 12 years. So it's very, very valuable to you, and I think after you hear today's webinar, you'll see how that can very specifically around seminars be valuable to you, and I hope you'll take advantage of it. So with that, I'm going to introduce the coach, Mr. Dave Pimper.
Hey, Steve, thank you very much, and I want to just thank everyone for being on the webinar with us today. We've got a lot of folks today, don't we, Steve? They're from all over, too. I'm just looking across the U.S., a lot from the west side of the country, so just thank you very much for being part of our webinar. For the next 35, 40 minutes or so, we're going to talk a little bit about how to get in front of more qualified prospects. And there's no doubt that seminars, since the start of time, talking in front of groups has been around, and no doubt that seminar marketing has evolved since I've been in business since 1981. So in the last 35, 40 years, seminar marketing has evolved, and it hasn't evolved in a bad way. In fact, I think it's evolved in a good way. There are fewer people now, mainly because of regulations, because of compliance, because of cost. There's probably fewer people now, percentage-wise, of how many agents, how many advisors, producers there are, in our world doing seminars than there was 25 years ago. I used to be pre-PowerPoint. That's how old I am, 62 years old, but pre-PowerPoint. So when I was in my 20s and early 30s, PowerPoint was not around yet, and so you had to do extemporaneously off of like an easel or an acetate. Remember that overhead projector acetate? And we were really upgraded back then. We used slides, and you never see slides anymore, do you? But so I ran the full gamut. Steve says 500 seminars, not quite that many, but we just did a seminar yesterday, and so I think we're at 463 seminars, in the last 30 plus years. And the reason that we've had success, the people of my group have success, is that we're consistent at what we do. It isn't a one-hit wonder, hit or miss. We are going out there and we're basically pounding every single day. And seminars are not the only way to market, of course. There's a lot of other ways to go in and get your name out there, but to actually get in front of new people, get in front of people that want to maybe learn a little more about your services is exactly what it's about. So we had a seminar that we just got through with last Thursday and yesterday, Monday, and our goal is to get at least 10 appointments, and that's exactly what we got. We got 6 appointments on Thursday. We got 4 appointments yesterday. If you go in and get 10 appointments, I'll just let you know, when you're there and helping them with the 401k IRA rollover, that's what we're talking about now, and you're talking about their specific 401k or how to roll it over, or beneficiaries or Roth conversions or QLACs or whatever it happens to be, You're educating those people, and we present those as educational workshops. There's no specific product. There's no specific company. Really, what you're selling is you're selling advice. You're selling professional advice. So with the 401k IRA rollover game plan, we're going to go through those, and we've got about maybe half of the slides of the actual slides that we use or we're going to use today. And if you got questions, you can certainly type them on in. And I'm not going to talk exactly what I say on each of the slides. I want to give you a feeling, though, a little bit of what the presentation itself looks like. And we'll see if Steve has given me the controls here to go into the next one.
I'll do it right now, Dave.
Okay, that'd be wonderful, Steve. It'll save you the time on your index finger then off that mouse. So good. So this is my first slide. As you can always tell, everyone's always very happy with, and we work with a pre-retired and retired crowd. I will tell you what, when you start looking at 401ks and IRA rollovers, just think in the qualified market, there's nearly $30 trillion. Just IRAs alone, there's almost $5 trillion. I mean, that's just a tremendous amount of money within this. And you know what? There's tons of seminars and workshops. I use those interchangeably, like lawyers, attorneys. But what happens is not many narrow on in to specifically 401ks and IRA rollovers. And as almost everybody knows on this webinar, there's just big money. I mean, it's normally the household's largest asset as far as one asset is concerned, okay? So when you're going in and you're looking at this, we're really making an impact of trying to work with that larger asset within the retirement plan. So I'm going to ask you this: how much do you really know about the retirement marketplace, the 401k IRA rollover marketplace? So let's go in and let's talk about really 4 or 5 questions here, and you take a little test. So let's say you make your initial Roth IRA contribution for the 2015 tax year, and you can make it as late as April 15th of the next year. Okay, that's legal. How many years do you have to wait to withdraw all of the money out tax-free? So the growth is tax-free, the earnings are tax-free, yeah, everything's tax-free. Well, most everyone's going to say 5 years. But what's very, very interesting on this is it's not. It's actually 3 years, 8.5 months. The reason is no matter when you put in your IRA contribution for a Roth, it always backdates for the 5-year rule to 1/1 of the year that you put it in for. Huh, interesting. Yeah. Not many people know that. What type of trust do you have to establish for your IRA when your intent is to make sure that your designated or your human beneficiaries within that trust are able to stretch or inherit out the tax deferral for their lifetimes? So we're talking about stretch IRA, an inherited IRA. What type of trust do you have to establish? You're supposed to be writing down your answers. It's a conduit trust, or called a see-through or look-through trust. What are you seeing through? What are you seeing, or what are you looking through to see? The human heartbeat. Yeah, that person within that trust. It has to be through a specific kind of trust. What type of trust do you have to establish for your non-IRA? So non-qualified money with an annuity when your intent is to make sure your designated human beneficiaries within that trust are able to stretch out a tax deferral. It's a trick question. You put down it can't happen, you're right. Really, the longest you can go is just the 5-year takeout rule. And lastly, what does the designations of per stirpes mean when it pertains to beneficiaries? Any idea? Means by the bloodline. Okay, so per capita is by head, per stirpes is by bloodline. If you don't change it, it goes down through to the children. It doesn't go all to the other second or all the monies to the second or third beneficiaries. It stays within the family bloodline. Very easy way to go in and to do some estate planning at no charge to your clients. So all of those things are covered within the workshop itself. So this is the first slide. And so what I try to do is, remember, if you're strictly insurance licensed, with your life and health and so forth, then of course you don't need a FINRA review. If you're securities licensed, and it depends if you're just RIA. So some RIAs require a FINRA review, though that some of them don't. Broker dealers normally will, and I had this FINRA reviewed and with shining colors. So what you're going to see is you're giving out good information for the client. It may not be the best for you to get the money. That's in the eyes. I mean, the client is going to look at the presenter and say, God, well, giving that kind of information, I mean, why is he discouraging to roll that money over so he can work with it? We're giving both sides, the positive and the negatives, okay? FINRA regulators normally want a balanced, holistic approach, not a one-sided approach, okay? So, potential rollover options for your 401k, which is for-profit company, 403b, which is nonprofit, and 457, which is the government retirement plan, actually deferred comp plan. They're all kind of twin brothers and sisters. There's little innuendos in and out that are different, but they're similar. So the first thing is you can do nothing. You could leave it there. You could roll it over to a new company retirement plan. You could take a lump sum distribution. You could convert to a tax-free Roth IRA, or you could roll over and transfer to a traditional IRA. Now, behind the scenes, if you do nothing and they leave it there, how much do we make from that? Nothing. But that's an option for them. We roll it over to a new company retirement plan. How much do we make compensation there? Nothing. But it might be good advice for them. What about if they take a lump sum distribution? Well, it's not very smart unless you're doing something called net unrealized appreciation, which we'll talk about. You could convert to a Roth IRA. It doesn't happen often. But rolling over and transferring to a traditional IRA, yeah, that's where the money is in for us. And of course, enough said, it has to be in the best interest, of course, of the client to take it out of that 401k into the specific financial product that you're talking about. So then I go down through it. I say, you could do nothing. You could leave it where it is, as long as your plan will allow it. I'm not going to go through all the dialogue. I will a little bit more on this. Why would you want to leave it in your investment in the current 401k plan? What's the benefit of that? Well, one of the benefits is that it may be better protected under the ERISA laws versus the IRA, which who governs the IRA? IRS. Believe it or not, there's more protection normally. On the state of Nebraska, on state to state, it really doesn't make too much difference. They're pretty hard to get, but I'm talking about bankruptcies or lawsuits or alike. Yeah, they're very, very hard to get within that 401k or that company retirement plan. You might want to keep it there just because you're familiar with the choices. Hey, I always used Vanguard, or I always used Fidelity, or I always used T. Rowe Price, or whoever it happens to be, and I'm familiar with that. There may be lower fees or there may be higher fees. But if it's a no-load fund, it's a Vanguard, which is a very inexpensive, yeah, maybe fees alone is lower. Could be higher. There's an easier choice, just to do nothing. Leave it there and don't worry about it. Don't want to hassle with it. Sometimes no decision is the decision you make. Maybe not the best decision, but it's the decision you make by not making a decision. But here's one of the reasons that's a good reason to leave a portion of that money in there is if you say you got $300,000 and you're thinking about buying a car, the car is going to cost $35,000. So you got to take out $42,000 or $3,000 after taxes, but you want to pay cash for your car. Well, if you're under 59.5, there's normally a 10% penalty to take it out, whether it's a 401k or an IRA. But if you retire or leave, get fired, whatever that happens, you're not working for the company anymore, and you're 55 years or older when that happens, then you can take your money out without any 10% penalty. It's still taxed, but you have no penalty. Yeah, pretty interesting. So that would be a reason to go in and to leave part of that money with your 401k, wouldn't it? You bet it would. So we go through all of those options like that. If there's any questions at all, certainly go in and just write them down, and we will answer those for you. Now, taking a lump sum distribution, you know what? So say you got $300,000, and you say, I'm going to pay taxes on this sooner or later. I might as well just pay taxes now. I'll go ahead and say they made 50 for the year. They take 300,000 out. Now it shows 350,000 that they have total income. Not probably a smart thing to do. You're going to get taxed. You're going to get taxed a lot. So 30%, give or take, on federal, and depending on your state tax, from 5 to 15% on state tax is a lot. 40% plus being taxed. There's no more tax deferral, okay, like there is with an IRA, unless you put it in a tax deferral account. 20% is going to be withheld. So if you have 300,000, you take, you take that out. Yeah, 20% of 300,000, 60 grand. They're going to withhold 60 grand here. Of that 300,000, you're only going to get 240,000. The other 60,000, they don't trust you that you're going to pay the government the fair taxes that are due. How dare they? So if you want to roll that back over in 60 days, which you can without a tax consequence, you got to come up with another 60 grand if you're going to make whole out of your checking account or savings or investments. Not everybody has that kind of liquid cash. But there's a good reason to lump sum a distribution that's called net unrealized appreciation, or NUA. Now, NUA, you got to be careful if you're giving specific advice if you don't have a securities license. If you have one, a 65, 6, or 7, you can then, or 66, 65, 7, or 6. But what happens is, let's say that you got 300,000 in that 401k and you work for IBM, hypothetically. Been with IBM for 40 years. You've purchased IBM through a company, kind of a drip purchase plan for most of your entire life. And so you have $100,000 of value in IBM and $200,000 in mutual funds. Well, that $100,000 has a cost basis of 25 grand. An appreciation of 75,000. So here's what happens with net unrealized appreciation. If you have a highly appreciated company stock that you were working for and retired from, and that company stock. So if you work for IBM, it doesn't work if you have Microsoft stock. It doesn't work if you have Apple stock. It doesn't work if you have Exxon stock. It has to be, if you worked for IBM, it has to be Big Blue stock, okay? What happens is that normally when money comes out of a 401k or an IRA, that's traditional non-Roth contributions. You got the tax deductibility in the beginning, and you have full taxation coming out as ordinary income tax. Here's what you could do. It has to all be done by the end of the year, December the 31st. You take 200,000 of that, what that is a non-stock, and you roll it over to whatever investment it happens to be. It happens to be a mutual fund, could be another stock, could be fixed indexed annuity, could be a fixed annuity, whatever it goes. But the $100,000, you could tell him that it needs to go into a personal account. Yep, not an IRA account, a personal account. The other 200 rolled over to an IRA. Individual retirement account. Tax-free transfer. Keeps the deferral. But the $100,000, you're going to go in and pay ordinary income tax on the cost basis of $25,000. What happens to the other $75,000? It's taxed as a long-term capital gain. Huh. Yeah. And you can, so you can, once that's sold, so you can kind of depend on when it's sold. So that's either going to be at 0, basically 15 or 20%, versus a much higher rate for ordinary income tax. Long-term capital gains will always beat ordinary income tax. So the majority of all of your profit, the majority of the value of that 100,000, you can take it as long-term gain versus ordinary income tax. That's pretty cool. Now, if you're in a very low tax bracket, it may not make much difference. If your stock is not highly appreciated, it probably won't make much difference. But if those two come into play, your bracket and how much the stock is appreciated, if that is in your favor, yeah, then all of a sudden net unrealized appreciation, it's cool. Yeah. Not very few people use this. I've done this quite a few times here in my years. Now, time out. When you're talking to the people out in the crowd of a 401k IRA rollover seminar, how many people does this truly affect? Not many. Not many. But it's information they've never heard before. It's information that you are now opening up to them. You're gaining them knowledge in the 401k IRA rollover space. And once people gain knowledge from someone, they look at you as having expertise, or they look at you as a new type of mentor. And I'll tell you what's the reason that we have workshops or seminars? To get in front, belly to belly, to a person that is qualified. Qualified meaning they've got the want, need, and the will to go in and to do business with you. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Is everyone qualified? Of course not. But using the correct demographics, the correct zip codes and area, yeah, we can refine it down to 80% of who we mail to is pretty darn solid. Okay? Right, good. Any questions, simply go in and just type them in, and I will take those. We have probably 4 or 5, 6. I used to have quotes that I actually paid the rights for. Now, actually, we use, this is public information. Henry Kiney, born in 1797, died in 1856. He says, experience is a good school, but its fees are high. And I'll say here, don't make a mistake when you're rolling money over. Don't make a mistake when you're taking your RMDs, your required minimum distributions. Don't make a mistake when you're converting from a Roth to a Roth, conversion from traditional to a Roth, because if you make a mistake, it can be a whopper as far as the fines, the penalties, the fees that they impose upon retirement accounts. This is not something to do on your own. And then I'm not going to go through the specifics because it's going to take time, but we talk about Roth IRAs. And if you're not recommending Roth to your clients, you're probably making a mistake. Tax-free beats tax-deferred every single time for the individual, as long as that person has a tax bracket, is paying taxes. Yeah. But we talk about the 5-year holders, really could be as little as what? Yeah, 3 years, 8.5 months. Talking about a Roth, if there's no RMDs, required minimum distributions, that's 7.5 like traditionals. No income limits. Yeah. Future brackets. Yesterday when I did my workshop, I said, how many people here think that taxes, income taxes, no matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat or a liberal or whoever it is in office in 10 years, whether Congress is Democratic or conservative, whether the Senate is Democratic, or Republican, who thinks that income taxes will be lower in 10 years? You know how many people raise their hands when I ask that? It's always what? Nobody raises their hands. How many people here think rates are going higher? And then I raise my hand, and then almost everyone raises their hand. And I'll say, if that's the case, then tax-free down the road is going to be worth more than tax-free now, because interest rates, or tax brackets, will most likely be higher. And then we talk about Roth conversions. In Roth conversions, you're converting a traditional to a Roth. And if you haven't done a Roth conversion, one of the neat things about this is all of my slides have language. Okay? All of my slides. And who wrote that language? 100% of it? I did. And I wrote it just like I talk. Simple, down to earth, fairly easy to understand. If you go in, can you do it? Excuse me. Can you do it just like Dave Pimper? Sure, you could. I wouldn't recommend that because everyone's got their own way of delivery. They have their own personality and their own quirks for successful presentations. But the words are there, and you know what? Just learning off of the 40 slides which we have If you go in and just read and kind of memorize the information, I promise you there's a ton of stuff in there that you did not know about retirement plans. Okay? So we talk about Roth conversions. I don't know if you know this or not, but if you do five Roth contributions, not conversions, just Roth contributions, okay? $5,500. If you're over the age of 50, you put an extra $1,000, $6,500. What happens is that you can go in, and once you start the first one, the 5-year rule starts for all of them. So once the 5 years is up, the instant you put in Roth contribution money, it's already tax-free. Boom, the very first day after 5 years. What happens to Roth conversions? Nope, it's incorrect here because everyone has a new 5-year starting date. That's interesting, isn't it? Everyone has a new 5-year starting date. I bet most people didn't know that. But we talk about Roth conversions. What else do we talk about? We go in and we talk about the OOPS rule, meaning a recharacterization. As long as it's by October the 15th of the year after that you put it on in, you can go in and say, hey, I just didn't want to do it. Why would you do that? Don't have the money to pay taxes probably. Conversions cost money. You do a $100,000 conversion, you take it out, you pay taxes on $100,000, you roll it over into an RIA, Roth, RIA. Retirement, IARs, excuse me, IRA. Steve, you got me doing it now. Yeah. So what happens is on an individual retirement account, you're rolling it from a traditional into a tax-free. Well, you got to pay all the taxes on that. And when you pay all the taxes on that, it could be a lot, $100,000. I mean, you might as well pay 40% basically on state and federal taxes on the average state. Yeah. Well, a lot of people can't do that. So you know what we'll do? We'll do $10,000 a year over 10 years. Accomplishes the very same thing. It's just that we're not hit with nearly as much tax burden each and every year. But on a Roth conversion, it might be, hey, I didn't want to pay that much taxes. I want to just kind of peel this back like we never did it. Yeah, or might have been like, I'm making this up now because Equifax has had such a huge downfall in the last 2 months with the whole hacking incident. Equifax is down about well over 30%, probably 35%. So say you had 100,000 in Equifax a month ago, that 100,000 is worth about 65,000 right now. Say you converted it at 100, and now you look at it and it's worth 65. Well, you can go in and say, hey, I'm not gonna convert the Equifax that investment, and you got to wait, which is interesting, either 30 days or to the beginning of next year, whichever is later. And then you can recharacterize again. Yeah. And now you got 65,000 that you're paying taxes on, not 100. Pretty cool. You normally can't recharacterize a 401k. They won't allow you to do that. Talk about indirect rollovers and direct rollovers. Indirect rollovers where you actually get the money in hand. We don't want to do those if it's possible. We go in and we talk about how the indirect rollover works. If it's from a 401k, they're going to take the 20% mandatory from the retirement plan. Only one rollover per every 365 days on indirects is if you take the money in hand. If you take 400,000 and you take 1,000 and you take two and within 365 days, all of your money is taxable. How terrible would that be? Direct rollovers. I call it custodian to custodian or trustee to trustee. Yeah. You can do as many as you want. There's no 60-day rule. There's no 20% coming out. You can do 20 of them in a year if you want to. There's no problem. Much more flexible, easier. They never receive the money made out to them in hand. Why? We go through the reasons why. We talk about beneficiaries. Yeah, those are 7 options. You can leave it blank. That means intestate. Not a good reason. I go, why? You can name the estate or the will. Could, but not a good reason. Why? Goes through probate again. Costly. Very public. Normally your spouse or your children or grandchildren, you could do a charity, but it goes tax-free to the charity. I'd rather not use Roth money. That's already tax-free. Can't get double tax-free. Or you could put it into a trust. And then we talk about each one of those. I don't on those slides, but I do in our regular. It says, I've got all the money I'll need if I die by 4 o'clock by Henny Youngman. Funny. Yeah. Hope you have more money than that. But stretching beneficiaries or inheriting beneficiaries and the separate account rule, breaking it up, and just inherited IRAs, we talk about it, how to go on in, and it doesn't, but the next one would be of how you actually title an inherited IRA. I don't have it on the slides because I for the lack of time a little bit. We also have here talking about Arthur Godfrey says, I'm proud to be paying taxes in the U.S. The only thing is I could be proud with half the money. When I got this, it's not supposed to get a big belly laughs, but people have fun in those workshops. They're educational. There's a lot of pertinent information. Their minds kind of start hurting a little bit. It's fun to have a little bit of comedic relief a bit. In-service non-hardship withdrawals. I also have a seminar for this, a completely different seminar, talking about if the company allows it usually at 59. Usually at 59.5 is when they do it. But you can still work for that company. Say you got 300,000, and you can take a portion of that money, 100, or all of the money, 300, and roll it out and still work there. Yeah, most people don't know that they have that option available. Okay. 5 rules to know when working with an in-service withdrawal plan, and we go through everything. Here's the 5 rules to know. I mean, read them. Have to be at least 59.5 to participate normally. The 20% withholding tax, it could be taken out if it's made out to them, but it's not if it's directly rolled over. Okay? 401k loans need to be paid first, etc. And then now some people have Social Security background. We also have a Social Security workshop that's very good. In fact, it's the one that I actually have given here in the last 4 or 5 weeks has been Social Security. A lot of people don't understand Social Security. Is it better than 401ks? No, it's different. It's different. Very educational. Normally doesn't need a meal. But we talk about Social Security, and you might want to use your retirement money and let your Social Security grow between full retirement age and 70 at 8% a year plus COLA. So it's going to be 10% this year. I mean, if you got a $2,000 benefit, think about 10% is $200 for 4 years, $800 extra for the rest of your life and or your spouse if you die first. Big deal. Big deal. So we talk a little bit about that here. If you don't know Social Security, you might want to leave that out. But I tell people there's a lot to think about. There's big decisions. And we set up, like yesterday, we had 12 people that came to the workshop last night. 12 people signed up, 12 people came. And so what happens is we like to try to get 35 or 40 folks. We had a little under 30. It was a little bit less yesterday. Don't know why, but we still got 10 appointments out of it. And the goal here is if I would have got 5 appointments out of it, I have lesser chance to write business or big business. But do I give up? Heck no. I've done 463 of those guys. I've met tens of thousands of people that I never would have got to meet. Are some there just for the dinner? You bet. Does that bother me? Not a bit. Not a bit. It's the cost of doing business. Are seminars cheap? No, they're not. You know why they're not? Because I can look at the turn on money. Normally, if we mail out 6,000 pieces, we normally get 30 to 40 people between 2 nights. Yesterday and last Thursday, we got 27. It was down some. I don't know why. But you know what? I got 10 appointments, and we've set them all. We've called them back the next day. We set them all. Those 10 appointments, I hope I can do 1 to 2, maybe 1 to 3 pieces of business, and I hope I get 250 to 300,000. That's what I'd like to have for assets under management, whether they're in fixed indexed or whether they're in non-traded REITs or whether they're in managed money or whether they're in fixed annuities. I don't know, but I just hope that kind of money that I'll be able to help them with. We actually set it right there. We set the date, we set the time, we get the commitment. They say yes, they hand it in. This mailing yesterday, we mailed from the age of 57 to 68 or 58 to 67, right in that range, that pre-retired, going to retire or just retired. That's who we're going to go in and mail to. And so what happens is they're committing to come in and seeing us. And we say on the bottom, there's no obligation to either fill this out or hand this in, but we got every single one yesterday. 2 people, 6 buying units, 4 appointments. Not bad at all. And we normally talk about procrastination, how people who procrastinate are not the most successful. And then what I do to them is I promise that, this is educational. Leave your checkbook at home. We'll uncover one financial problem and make sure to give you the answer of that as you come in. And ask yourself, do you know what your best rollover options are? If you don't, maybe you need to mark yes to come in and see me. Could a Roth conversion benefit you? Well, only you know that if you talk to an expert, which I have that expertise. 401k, complementing Social Security and vice versa. What to take first, what not to take, a report. If you're Social Security savvy, people like myself, yeah, that gets to be complicated, but I have that background. You might want to mark yes. The investment choices, most people I see have some very good investments. They have some very poor investments or financial strategies. What we want to do is to give you an idea of what can benefit you. Beneficiaries, and lastly, a second opinion sometimes is the best opinion. When I go into my last slide, I normally do it off of George Foreman, who is the boxing champ. And here's what I say, and I get people laughing and feeling good about themselves. If they feel good about themselves, they feel good about the presenter. If they feel good about the presenter, the chance of them marking yes for an appointment goes up. If they mark the appointment yes, you have a chance to get one-on-one and go to second base with a second appointment. If you get a second appointment, you got a chance to close them. If you close them, you've shown them a good financial strategy, something that's going to benefit them, and in turn, you get compensated for that. And now your spouse is very happy. That's the chain of events. So I say thank you very much for coming. George Foreman here says the question isn't at what age I want to retire, it's what income. I said George Foreman was a great heavyweight champion. Do you know how he made the majority of his net worth? And then someone says the George Foreman grill. And I said that's exactly right. When they went back for naming rights on that grill, do you have any idea of how much money he got paid in one check? Not counting the overrides, his overrides from every grill that sold, $136 million. Go Google it up. It's true. $136 million. So then I tell the folks, you know what? So here's what I say to you tonight before we leave for the presentation. If you don't have a grill that has your name on it, maybe you need to mark yes and come in for the consultation. And they all smile and laugh and they might applaud, but they're happy. Yeah, I've got them in a good mood, a jovial mood. They feel probably pretty good about me. They learned something from me. That's the presentation. So I will say this, and then I'm going to turn this over to Steve. He's actually going to put a poll up. And if you've got interest of really putting some jet packs on your production, yeah, you should mark yes on this. We can talk for 20, 25 minutes specifically about your marketing. Seminars are not for everyone. They have cost to them, definitely. There's some time put in, some study time put in. But I'll tell you right now, if you want to up your production, if you feel you're in a bit of a rut, if you want to change around how you're marketing your practice, if you want to get more efficient seeing people, yeah, you know what? Seminar marketing may just be that in for you. Having someone like myself to be a coach, a mentor, kind of a board of directors, one board of directors for your mom and pop firm, that's what I do, and I can't guarantee success, but I can guarantee this: I'll work as hard as I can to go in and to help you be successful within the seminar business. We have a track, and that track works. Does it work perfectly? No, but it certainly brings you on a success track when it comes to successful seminar marketing. So, Steve, I'll let you take it from here, and I know Steve got some insight also.
Thank you, Dave. Great stuff as always. Appreciate your willingness to take some time with the guys here, and I see we've got a lot of interest. So, as Dave has probably mentioned, when you hit yes on that poll, their office will give you a quick call. And I would reiterate what Dave said is that if it's something you have some true interest in, check yes and expect to hear from his office and engage with them, because it doesn't help you and it doesn't help them if you're just playing phone tag or never able to connect up. So I hope you'll, if you have interest, you hit yes. On the other hand, it is, as Dave said, how often you hear a guy say that it's not for everybody. And Dave is really in general conservative with the numbers that he gives, because he has a firm, Iams knows, and as a producer in the field, Dave knows that you having the correct information in your hands and being able to make a decision with the right information is key, because if you're going to be successful in the seminar business, you got to be consistent with it. You got to be able to do it, month in and month out. And so, it doesn't help you and it doesn't help Dave. It doesn't help IAMS if it's not something you're committed to. On the other hand, if you're looking for somebody that's going to help you through that process and give you the best chance at every particular stage of that seminar process, the stage where you're getting trained up and, comfortable doing the seminar, the stage where you're picking out the right restaurant and getting the right demographics for your mailing. In fact, Dave's team does the mailing, arranges the mailing for you, where you're, the stage where you're giving the seminar and putting in those little, the information just the right spot to get the most appointments. Then once you get the most appointments, convert to the most sales. And when you convert to the most sales, get the highest amount of premium and invested assets from those. If you want help at every stage, which is what makes the difference, by the way, because being efficient throughout the process is how you end up with a successful model. And you can only do that with someone like Dave and his team at your side. It's not just Dave. He's got a whole team, but you need that experience at your side at every step of the way in order to get the best possible results, because your first seminar is not going to be your best one. Your last seminar is likely going to be your best one. But along the way, the better you can do in every seminar, the more likely it is that you're going to hit the right success that you need to say, okay, now this is something that I can build my business on for not just today or tomorrow, but for the future, because seminars do work. All of our top producers do seminars at one level or another. And the reason for that is because you can spread your information over a large group of people, let them meet you and get to like you in a larger group of people, and then move on from there to having that appointment. So it builds credibility for you. It gives the people the opportunity to meet you in an unthreatening environment. And now all you need is the right subject and the right person to help you through that. And we have those here at IAMS and with Dave Pimper. So I hope you'll take advantage of that. I don't mean to talk anyone into doing something that they're not comfortable with doing. You've got to be comfortable with the possibilities of what a seminar, the things that you're going to have to do along the way. You've got to be comfortable with each one of those. If you think you are going to be, then hit yes on that poll. Give your business an opportunity to grow, because what's going to happen in the future is the marketplace, the people that are going to need your services is going to expand almost exponentially. And unfortunately, as a firm, what IAMS has seen is that the people like you that are out there and able to do what you do, that's a shrinking pool. And so the laws of supply and demand mean there's going to be more opportunity for fewer people. That's a great thing for you. And to have a systematic approach like seminars, and, once you kind of get in the seminar business, then what seminars you do can change. But this is a great entree into the seminar business that I hope you'll take advantage of if you feel comfortable. There are some questions here, David. I'm going to distill them down into just a few. And I mentioned at the beginning of my little soliloquy here that you were kind of conservative in your numbers. But can you walk through what you pay for your mailing, how many people you normally get at a meeting, and then from there, kind of what you see as kind of some average numbers that someone could expect? Because I think the folks here, if they're going to go forward, deserve to know some of the basics here.
Yeah, you bet. When we mail out 6,000 pieces, that's going to cost, those are 55 cents a piece. So you got $3,300 that's wrapped up in getting those 35, 40 folks to the workshop. Can it be less? Yeah, it just was for me this last time. Has it been more? Of course it has. But on the average, 35 to 40 folks are going to come in from that 6,000 mailing. If it's 20 people a night, normally that's going to be, if you figure it on out, about 26 or 27 buying units. meaning husband and wife being a buying unit, single being a buying unit, etc. Of that, you know that about 20 to 25% of those people, because this is a mealed seminar, we pay about $20 for a meal. We have steak and we have chicken. And being from Nebraska, most everyone orders steak. And so what happens is that you're going to have wrapped up over $4,000, or in that neighborhood of getting those people in the seats and giving them great advice. And so you want to do the very best. I mean, I do it just like a huge sporting event. It's like the Super Bowl every time that I go in and give a workshop. I mean, I get my mind right. I always rehearse some beforehand, make sure I look over things, even though I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times. It's a big event. And so what happens is that out of those 26, we know that there's going to be about 20-25% of that is not going to go in, and they're just strictly for the meal. That's just the cost of doing business. Leaves us down around 20, and we're going to close anywhere from 50% of the people will come in for an appointment after the people who are just there strictly for the meal. We take them off the list. And that brings us down to, we want at least 10 appointments from a mailing. We can do very good business with that. And then from that, I would hope that we can write at least a couple, maybe 2 different couples. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 1. Have we ever gotten skunked? Not very often, but we have before. Have I gotten lucky and had big money come in? Yeah, but you know what? If we get, like I said, if we get a couple $300,000 in, we're pretty much happy as a lark. And you can think about it from fixed index side. If you get $300,000 in as fixed index business, at anywhere from 4 to 6%, but let's say it's 5%. Being conservative. $200,000, that's $10,000 and of commissions coming in, and $300,000 be 15. It's costing about $4,000 to put it on. So the numbers, the more you do them, the more the numbers play. The reason people are not successful in this business, they don't have a true commitment of being consistent with the number of workshops they do. And Steve, you know this from Matt Gill and with John and just all the Phil and Curtis, and I mean all the people that do seminars really for a living. There's only one reason they do them. I mean they want to certainly give education to their prospective client, but they know that it's certainly a very good revenue source for them and a consistent revenue source. So I will say this: there's a lot of FMOs. Almost every FMO has some kind of seminar platform. But I'll tell you the truth, and there's a lot of people who mentor. They go in, they watch someone do the seminar, but of actually getting coached on a week-by-week basis over a 5-week time period, a coach that's available to answer any of their questions at any time in between those sessions or after the sessions are done for an infinity amount of time. That is what's really, really unique. And that's what IAMS has worked out with myself, or I worked out with IAMS. And it's been very, very good for the producer. So hopefully that helps a little bit, Steve.
Absolutely, it does. That's good information. And we've gone well over our time today, and that was probably my fault. I apologize for being so talkative on the front end. There are some other questions that need to get answered along the way here, but what I'm going to do is send you, Dave, the questions. And it looks like most of the folks that had more in-depth questions have also wanted to chat with you. So we'll get that all worked out. I think at this point we should thank our attendees for taking some time out of their schedules and hanging in there. We had a big group and they stayed on all the way through. So thank you all for your attention. Hopefully you found something here that is a valuable thought or consideration for you as you look to grow your business, because that's what it's all about here, is exploring the ideas and things that you need to do to grow your business. And what our goal here at IAMS is put the right things in front of you, give you some good ideas and some good things to choose from. And you take someone like Dave Pimper with that experience and regular production on his own and being involved in the day-to-day part of his business and helping folks with their business and helping them get seminars. It's a great great fit. And so hopefully you'll take advantage of it if it's a good fit for you. Thank you again for joining us today. Dave, I know you had a lot of things going on your follow-up to your seminar, so I know this is a little bit tougher time for you to get with us. I certainly appreciate your taking time out of your schedule as well.
No problem.
Thank you. And with that, if you have any questions, give us a call here at the office. It's 800-255-5055. If you need to get in touch with Dave, we'll handle that. And thank you for all of your attention today. Obviously, we appreciate it and look forward to helping you in any way that you can. Thank you for joining us, and have a great finish to your week.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.